Get updated.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
The new national party going and the party for keep going and make scene and show your keep going and keep going keep going and keep going keep going keep going keep going progress keep going success keep going NNP keep going all are we keep going NNP keep going democracy keep going prosperity keep going stability free food free water more infrastructure health for agriculture so we could live better business development and foreign investment so far Grenada come let the progress go on go green go green go green go green show green more green go green go green go green go green go green show green more green go green tell them say we don't want no change we don't want the country rearrange tell them don't take that backward step and next thing you regret so stay with NNP for more stability 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 Let the progress continue.
And good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, Pity Martinique. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. 29 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock on the Spice Isle of Grenada. And we're live on 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CRFM, in Carriacou via 92.9 Sister Isles FM, and up there in Brooklyn, via 94.9 We Noise Radio. As I said, I'll be taking you up until the 12 o'clock hour. It is Hard Talk. Yesterday we did have the convention of the new National Party.
But the house is standing solid as a rock.
This morning we will be having a guest in studio with us. They should be here within the next couple of seconds. Yeah, they'll be in studio with us.
This thing is the best. Take a look and see.
And then we'll be taking it from there, yeah?
We are a party to reign. We moving on.
Just to let you all know exactly the new executive of the new National Party.
We are a party to reign. We moving on.
A chairman, Honorable Anthony Boson. Yeah, he replaces Honorable Gregory Boyne, who has been our chairman for quite a number of years. So the Honorable Anthony Boson is now the chairman of the new National Party. Deputy chairperson remains Dr. Clarice Modest.
Yes.
Political leader, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. And returning as deputy political leader, the Honorable Gregory Boyne. Yeah, he held that position before, you know. He's returned as deputy political leader of the new National Party. General Secretary remains as the Honorable Roland Bowler. Assistant General Secretary remains as Honorable Peter David. Recording Secretary remains as Mr. Steve Hosford. And assistant to him as Assistant Recording Secretary David Stan Phillip. And now, as Treasurer, since Mr. Anthony Boson has been elevated to Chairman, the Treasurer of the new National Party, Mr. Carlton Frederick. Public Relations Officer, the Honorable Emlyn Pear. Labor Relations Officer, the Senator, the Honorable Winston Garraway. And Welfare Officer, Edith MacDonald.
We held hands together.
Floor members of the party, Mr. Kenneth Noel, Deborah Charles, Cletus St. Paul, Bernard John, Bartholomew Batiste, and Oswald Gilbert. And Carriacou will have their own that they will elect and send down. That's to make up the 7 floor members. And in addition, we have the youth arm president, That's Senator the Honorable Judd Cadet and the President of the Women's Arm, Mrs. Brenda Hood. We should be joined by Mrs. Hood in a little while. We had Senator Cadet in with us last week, Thursday, I believe it was.
We're striving on. We're working on.
And I'm going to take this opportunity to read to you the resolution that was put forward by the women of the New National Party yesterday at our convention. And that resolution reads, recognizing that our children are the most valuable members of our society, and by virtue, therefore, are susceptible to mistreatment, manipulation, exploitation, and abuse, reaffirming the importance of cultivating a healthy, safe environment in which our children can thrive and become upstanding, contributing adult members of society, recognizing that children's rights are human rights and that the same fundamental rights and freedoms guaranteed to every citizen by our Constitution are also guaranteed to children, not the least of which is the right to life, liberty, the security of the person, and the protection of law.
NNP again. No.
Emphasizing with the plight of child victims of sexual abuse, their affected families, and those who seek justice on their behalves. Recognizing that the sexual abuse of children is a scourge on our society and on humanity and must not be tolerated or treated lightly whatsoever, and must be addressed through public education and immediate stringent reform in the administration of justice, among other measures. Acknowledging the Minister and Ministry of Social Development, the Commissioner of Police, the Royal Grenada Police Force, the Director of Public Prosecution, and Ministry of Legal Affairs for their continued diligence and commitment in ensuring the perpetrators are brought to justice. Now, therefore, this New National Party at its convention being held yesterday, Sunday, the 27th of October 2019, at the MacDonald College in the parish of St. Patrick, 1. Strongly condemns the sexual abuse of children or any form of sexual impropriety towards them. 2. Encourages our fellow Grenadians to be vigilant in the monitoring and protection of our children and to be steadfast in reporting incidents of sexual abuse. 3. Calls on our judicial officers to be mindful of the protection of the welfare of children and cognizant of the deleterious repercussions of sexual abuse on their lives. 4. Further calls on judicial officers to act more judiciously in the administration of justice, in particular in the meting out of sentences commensurate with the grievous nature of sexual offences against children. And 5. Advocates for zero-tolerance approach to sexual impropriety with or abuse. Let me take number 5 again. Advocates for sexual... Okay, let me take number 5 again here. Advocates for a zero-tolerance approach to sexual impropriety with or sexual abuse of children, which may include legislative, administrative, social, and educational measures.
We are a party.
And 6, undertakes to explore educational initiatives for the sensitization of the public on health interpersonal relationships, the identification of predatory sexual behavior, and the deterrence of such behavior. And generally, number 7, calls for the total elimination of the pervasive, insidious undercurrent of sexual depravity, which threatens our values and the preservation of the moral fabric of our nation. Yeah? And this was put forward by the women of the New National Party yesterday at our convention.
We held hands together.
So we're going to have a short discussion there. Yeah. As we're doing that, let me see if I could find a song. Yeah, let me see if I could find a song to deal with that.
When I see the news on the TV and on Facebook, it really hit me. It is sad. Yeah. Grenada never used to be so. This thing wasn't common so before, and it's sad. Yes, we making Grenada shake, giving the nation a bad name today. I say, yes, with the amount of sexual crimes going on When not back men interfere with children and parents taking money from them, it is sad. Yes. Some of these children are just babies, yet men using them like the ladies, and it's sad. Yes, the state of affairs is serious, taking over like a virus today. I say, yes, every day is a brand new case, pedophiles all over this place today. I say, no, take a stand now, yes, give we children chance to grow, to be adults tomorrow. Take a stand now, take it right now, yes, let's all have a proud nation, rid this scourge from our land, and let's rise again, give we children hope again, yes, make sure we enforce the laws, jail all them child molesters, rise again, let we children smile again, yes, and let them know we feel their pain, and we ready to fight for them. Grenada, Carriacou, Matic, let's stand and make that fall. You hear me?
Yes, indeed. And we do have in studio with us, as I did promise, yes, Mrs. Brenda Hood, and a blessed good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Whoops, let me just make sure I have you up there. Nice. Go right ahead.
Blessed good morning to you, and I wish you all the best for the day.
Yes, indeed. And convention yesterday, I know you're a bit tired still. It was a long day.
Tired, but you got to do what you got to do. So you
Yes,
don't
indeed.
allow the tiredness to keep you down.
Yeah, and I know you're busy because we heard the resolution. Well, last week there was a press release that came out
Yes.
on the issue of child sexual abuse and indeed the sentencing in relation to the recent case. And yesterday at the convention of the New National Party, the women of the New National Party, you all put forward a resolution
I would
in
say a
relation to
very
this
strong
issue.
resolution.
Yeah.
Because we feel that, we have to start looking at issues affecting our nation's children, our women, and what can be done. There are organizations out there that are doing their part, but we have to get involved as a women organization, as part of the New National Party.
Yes, indeed. So you had the press release, you have the resolution. What next from the women of the New National Party?
Well, on Wednesday, we are going to be partnering with some of the stakeholders like the GNOW and other affiliates for a rally, a march that will be held on Wednesday from 11 a.m. in the morning until 2, I was told. It's in St. George's. And what we are trying to do is to build awareness, to let the country know and to let everyone know that these behaviors are not accepted, and that we are saying we want a zero tolerance. Because at the end of the day, if we don't protect our children, then we will end up with a state with a lot of problems. Because as you know, as a psychology will tell you, when children are abused, whether it's physical or sexually, as they become adults, if they're not treated, if they're not counseling, they too become perpetrators, and the cycle goes on. What we want to do is to stop the cycle. So we are looking forward, and we are, inviting as many people as possible to come out. You don't have to be out there for the full time. It's from 11 to 2 o'clock, I was told, and some people can come on their lunchtime. It's at the keep left, I think, by the cemetery there.
Yeah.
And we go down to Tantine and it ends there. So you can come and join us.
So
you
you're
go
starting
along.
at Keep Left from 11.
Yeah, and we end up in Tantine, and people are dispersed. It's a peaceful demonstration, but we want to make a statement to say that we are all concerned, and it's not only for women, it's for boys and girls, men. We want the whole nation to come out as best as they can to raise our voices and to say, this is not acceptable. the whole issue of abuse is something that we cannot condone. And because it's always say, you know, a nation is judged by the way you treat your children and the way you treat your elderly. And therefore we have a responsibility to intervene.
So it's starting at 11, New National Party Women's Arm together with several other organizations.
Yes, we are joining
on
with
this
them.
march.
Yeah.
So GNOW, any other organizations?
Well, I know
That-
GNOW, which is Grenada National Organization of Women, they do have a lot of affiliates, and I was told that the members of the affiliates will also be on board. You have the Coalition on the Rights of the Child and other organizations that are members of GNOW, and they will be participating. This is not a political march, or, you know, it's basically we want to build awareness. We are saying that this should stop. We need to deal with it. The sentences that are given out has to be more stronger. You have to give a stronger message. And we are looking also in terms of discussions with the various legislative bodies to see what can be done, in particular the Ministry of Social Development as a ministry, to see where we can give support and encouragement and feedback into maybe making the legislations more forceful, so that, you know, you send us strong messages to perpetrators out there for them to understand that this is not a joke, this is a serious matter.
Yes, indeed. What other activities will the women's arm of the New National Party be engaged in to bring awareness to this particular issue?
Well, a lot of it will be educational forums that we are going to be putting on, meeting in the various parishes to have discussions. And as I said, we are going to collaborate with many of the organizations out there who are active so that we can build the awareness there. We are trying to even get funding so we can do some educational programs throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And, you know, we want our voices to be heard so that when issues like that, when we pray that there will be none in the future, but if it were to happen, they will hear from us. We are not going to sit back and be quiet. We are going to be there saying enough is enough. We need to do something about it.
Realize in the resolution itself, it speaks to various aspects. It calls on the judicial officers to act more judiciously in the administration of justice, in particular, meting out commensurate sentences to what a person has done.
Exactly. You know, at the Women's we strongly believe that cases like those maybe should not be in the magistrate court, but they should be in the judge and jury who can, you know, really look at the case and they can judge on it, because sometimes, you know, times it takes and so. But the other thing is the counseling that are necessary for the child or the children who may be sexually abused. And we're not only talking about the girl child now, we are talking about boys also, and the families, because that also causes a lot of problems in families. So we need to educate them, we need to offer counseling, give support, and then building the awareness among these children, even in the educational system, for them to understand what may happen when you perhaps maybe trust someone too much, you know. And when people say to you, don't say anything to anyone, that's the time you start talking. They may say, don't say anything, you know. So why are they telling you don't say anything? So I'm hopeful that, you know, over the years we will see a decrease in those sort of cases, but that even if it exists, that people will come forward and report it. And most importantly, the legislation to have a register of abuse of children, so that wherever you go in the Caribbean and in the rest of the world, they would know. Because, you know, internationally, they do have those registers. And therefore, you say that person should not live that close to a school or whatever. And these are things that we have to do. We are a small nation, but I believe that some of the legislations that are being enforced and tried over time in the bigger countries can be enforced here. The fact that we are also signatories to the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and there are certain stipulations and guidelines that must be followed. We have ratified it, and therefore we have to do what is necessary to protect the most vulnerable of our society.
Yes, indeed. And for those of you just joining us, I'm speaking here with the president of the New National Party's Women's Arm. I still say Senator the Honorable Brenda Hood, who is in studio with us, and we're speaking a bit here about the resolution that was passed yesterday. The revolution of a resolution that was passed yesterday.
The revolution of a resolution.
Yeah, revolution of a resolution that was passed yesterday. It also deals advocating for, and this one is very interesting to me, number 5, advocates for a zero-tolerance approach to sexual impropriety with or sexual abuse of children, which may include legislative, administrative, social, and educational measures, which is a bit of what you were just speaking about. But so also strengthening the laws that do exist. There are strong laws, but strengthening the laws that exist, administrative, how it's dealt with. Because I think one of the problems we tend to have, and I said that on one forum last week, I think one of the problems is we tend to look to deal with the problem when it has already occurred and not identifying the potential offenders in our society. And in many instances, we see them. There are folks that are listening here right now that know the guys that are in their village, that when they see the little child passing who has come out from common entrance class or going to primary school or so, makes the statement, one more mango season or one more guava season. They know the potential pedophiles. And basically, the system that we operate in, nothing is done by the community in relation to that person until they offend, which is way too late.
And this is why the education of the community is so important. Build an awareness. So you go out into the communities, and the education is not only for the women, but it's for men, it's for boys, girls coming out, and for them to have discussions. Because what you may find in a lot of these discussions, when the people are at that forum, once they feel comfortable, they will start talking about their experiences. They may say to you, hey, I know this man that is doing this, or I know this woman that is doing this. What can we do about it? So what you have to do is a lot of preventative work. And also what is important also is the whole rehabilitation of those people who are perpetrators. Because remember, if you don't provide them with some sort of rehabilitation, it will be a cycle that is continued. So in addition to maybe going to prison or fined or whatever, there need to be a system in place where they have to be involved in counseling, and it should be mandatory. So this way you are there, even if they're in prison, they should be exposed to counseling to understand that this is not acceptable, and therefore you have to deal with it. Because
mandatory,
exactly, for a period of time. I know maybe people listening to the program now will say, well, it's going to cost the government, the country, a lot of money and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's preventative work. It's going to cost you more in the long run when these young guys commit the crime and go to prison. It's best to keep them outside. So if we can start in the school system, health and family life education, talking about why they need to be sensitive and not touch anyone, or whatever you do with children, you don't, abuse children. And at the same time, you have to be conscious that this is not acceptable behavior. It's wrong. It's wrong. I mean, in places like Canada, where I lived for many years, the sentences are something else. It's a lot of years you get for those sort of stuff. Lots and lots of years. And what I'm saying is that in addition to the sentences that they may get, I believe also the whole rehabilitation of those persons, those perpetrators, counseling is also important.
And on both sides, because of course the victim,
the victim family, they're all, of course, the children. I mean, this is very traumatic for children. The whole issue of sexual abuse in particular. I mean, physical abuse is also very traumatic, but sexual abuse, my goodness, sometimes they grow up in life and they have no relationships at all because they don't trust men. You understand? And this is not good. So and then, they act in different ways. It creates a lot of problems. Even if they have a relationship, it creates a lot of problem for them in those relationships. So what we are saying is we need to break the cycle. We want changes in our society. I'm not saying that it's, it has mushroomed. That I don't believe this is the case. I believe what is happening is that they're more reporting. People are becoming more conscious. And then you see, as an adult, if an adult comes out and talk about their experiences, then you will find people out there, or even children out there, who say, oh, I went through the same thing. and that give them the strength to come forward. So it's important to talk about it. It's important to have the legislation and the laws to deal with it. And it's also important to provide the counseling that is absolutely necessary.
So the counseling is one thing, but again, and I'd like to come back to this particular point because I know the New National Party, especially Women's Arm, they're in all the communities throughout the state of Grenada and even outside the state of Grenada as well. And I still think a lot of the problems come from in the communities itself. Now, I mentioned already the potential offenders that we're seeing in the communities. But there are also, and I think as Grenadians, we need to face some of these things because it seems to be always look to the police, look to the government, look to the court system. And what I'm thinking here is that in a lot of instances, the communities help create these problems, help maintain these problems, and help hide these problems. For instance, I know of one instance of a child many, many years ago that was molested, and that child couldn't even stay in the community they were from because folks in the community knew, and every time she'd be passing, somebody would be shouting, look so-and-so meet. And making those sort of disparaging statements and throwing comments at the child and so on, knowing full well that the child had been raped by a man that was way, way older than her. So as communities, how will the Women's Arm be working with the communities themselves to get them to that level that they, one, expose the potential perpetrators and work along with the legal system in getting something in place to be able to deal with some individuals who have the potential, although legally you have to be very careful there. You can't say a man is a potential bank robber and hold him, but there should be a monitoring system in place for potential molesters.
Well, the thing about it is the way it works in the justice system, if you have not been charged of a crime, you cannot, say that person is it could be a potential if you have evidence to prove, and he's never been charged, so the man is still innocent until proven guilty. I think the way to go about this is to have ongoing dialogue in the various communities, whether you have discussions in the various social clubs that you have in your communities, in the churches, in the schools. There are so many activities that takes place, and is bringing professionals into the communities to talk about it, and for the people that are involved in these discussions to feel comfortable. So it may mean having, I believe there is a network here, a phone number at the social development that you can call for abuse cases. But I guess within the various communities, you can have a network. So you can call this person if you feel this is happening. If you see an adult doing something that is not acceptable, you call the parents, because I think a lot of the times parents, they are responsible for what goes on with their children. And sometimes they don't take the lead in this. So what we will try to do is to encourage your parents, hey, this is your child. You are responsible for your child. And therefore you have to be cognizant of the fact that if you are not there for them, somebody can go out and abuse them. And we are saying that this is not acceptable. So the education, the involvement, even the people in the communities that may perceive to be a potential abuser, that person should be invited also to those meetings, as you said, because sometimes in communities they are aware of these persons, but nobody says anything. It's a hush. But I believe what is happening now, as I said earlier, more and more people are becoming more conscious, and they were talking about it. I went to an event, a meeting sometime earlier, maybe it was in August, and what they were saying to us at that meeting, somebody said that they were coming on a bus, and a gentleman on the bus were harassing. He was harassing a school child, and one of the persons on the bus came out and said to him, "Leave her alone. Leave the child alone. This is not good. This is not acceptable." And this is what has to happen. So even if you don't know that child, as they say, it takes a community to raise a child. And even if you don't know that child, you don't know where this child is from, but you see people are misbehaving and what they're saying is not acceptable, you need to stand out and say, no, this is not acceptable. And with time, this will change. I think each and every one of us have a responsibility to make sure that we protect our children, to make sure that we are as role models for the children of our society. And then there are other types of abuses, which we are not talking about. The whole issue of violence against women, sexual harassment in the workplace. These are all initiatives that needs to be addressed. But I guess you have to do it one at a time. But I strongly believe that the Ministry of Social Development and the legal people here in legal affairs and the DPP, and so they are trying, the Commissioner of Police and his police, they are becoming more conscious. They are becoming more conscious of the issue, and therefore we will see the changes with time. And maybe this is why so many people are coming forward. And as I said, I don't believe there is an increase. I think what it is, they're more reporting. The awareness is there. And when you have discussions like this on your program, like on the television, on the radio, they need to have more discussion about these things. It is not acceptable.
And for those of you that may be wondering what number you can call in a case like this, you can call 400. Yeah, just pick up your phone and dial 400. It will take you to the Special Victims Unit of the Royal Grenada Police Force, where they can make their report in relation to an actual case or a suspicion of a case. Because even if you suspect, it's good to talk. Don't wait until the thing finishes and you suspect something. The police, they take their responsibility very seriously in relation to investigating potential cases of child abuse. So even though you're not sure, but you believe that a case is taking place, that you can report, you call 400 and you report to them, and they'll do their investigations and get down to the end of it.
Exactly. And no longer can you sit back and say, well, it's not my business, it's not my child, it's not my family, and I will say nothing. No, we all as adults and even young people have a responsibility to look out for each other. And if we can look out for each other, then this state would be a beautiful country. It's already beautiful, but we'll preserve what we have in a positive way.
One aspect of the entire issue that I brought up last week, and I'd like to bring up again now, is the issue that we tend to focus on the men as abusers, and we're not focusing on the women abusers. And there are women abusers on the island, but we don't hear anything about. I have never heard of a single case of any one of them arrested. Never.
Well, I think I said this to you yesterday when we were speaking, that a lot of the times men, the macho men, they don't want to appear. Maybe with a boy child or so, this is something happened that might be reported. But men, if they're abused, they don't, very rare, very, very rare, they come forward and say, well, they go and report it. Because you know how men are brought up. They're not supposed to be able to cry. They're not supposed to think about you. Can you imagine your wife beating you? You wouldn't say anything about it because you're ashamed of it. But I think this is how the education come about, where you have to raise it in the school system. You have to raise it in the community, in the churches, that, abuse is not acceptable. Whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's sexual, it is not acceptable. And this is a message we have to give, that this is not acceptable. And if there are women out there who are abusing men, they should come forward. The men should come forward.
But no, and I don't want to lose it. It's not women abusing men. I'm talking of women that are abusing children.
Well,
and I'm speaking here specifically of sexual abuse of elder women to young girls and young boys.
Yes, but the thing about it is, as I said, you have to have the evidence. If no one is talking about it, is building awareness. So now when you go out there and you talk about abuse of your nation's children, you have to say it happens. Men, they do it. Women do it. So it's building the awareness that it is not only men that are doing the abuse. There are women who are abusing also. And in that case, you build the awareness, and eventually you would find if it's happening, and if it's happening at a very, wide part of society, then hopefully people will come on. But I believe with more education, you will find that more and more persons will come forward. The moment one or two persons come forward, you will be surprised to see what will happen. Others will come forward. But if this is happening, though, because I'm not aware of many women who are abusing, but if this is happening, this is sad. It is extremely sad, and I would want to say to women who are listening to this program, if they are doing things like that, this is not acceptable and they need to stop.
I would say this, that while I cannot point to specific cases, I've heard whispers, especially of certain areas, where there are elder women who are taking charge of young boys or young girls from their real parents and who are in very intimate relationship with these young boys and young girls who are going to secondary and primary schools, who are in, and you see the thing is that the perception tends to be when it's a young boy being abused by an elder woman. In lots of circles, some people see this as all right. They see this as okay. In our society, it's so what in quote unquote she break him out. That sort of nonsensical talk that we're hearing, not understanding that it is exactly the same thing as if an elder man was abusing a young girl or a young boy. And we it is happening in our society, but not reported because the perception.
But you see, the parents of these children, where are they in all of this? You know, where are they in all of this? If your child left your home and they're underage, you're supposed to report it. There is also the Child Protection Agency here, who also is responsible for the protection of children. And they have social workers and other workers involved in it. But I think what it is, as you say, if you don't report it, how would you know? But it's unfortunate that these things are happening, as you say, in communities. And people are aware of it, as you say, but they are not telling the authorities.
They wouldn't come and say this person and that person. They say, it have people wrong here doing X, Y, Z.
Well,
but
what I would like to say is that they have a responsibility to report it. If it's just they think it's happening, report it. Let them go and investigate and let them come up with a decision. You know, they're not going to go in there and pick up that person and put them in jail. You have to investigate it. But if you have, if it's perceived that you have young people living in the situation, it should be reported. Because that is not acceptable at all.
Not at all. And folks, we're speaking with the president of the Women's Arm, Mrs. Brenda Hood, and she has been speaking about an activity that's going to be taking place on Wednesday, and there's a second one as well.
They said it's going to be in St. Andrews on Friday.
On Friday.
Yeah.
It's a non-political, so you expect to see everybody turning out, anyone that can make it to turn out on Wednesday and or Friday to this activity. In case someone wants to call somebody to get involved, they want to know, well, maybe they can't make it, but they want to offer a case of water. They can't make it, but they want to offer some sort of help in relation to the activity. Who should they get in contact with?
They can call me, and the number is, they can call me at 534-5114. That number, or they can call G now. I believe the number is in the phone book, and they would be able to call, deal with that also.
Yes, indeed. Any final words for us today?
No. Basically to say that, I thank you for having me on the program. I think this is a good exposure for what we are planning to do. And I look forward to coming back to talk about the other programs that we are going to be laying out over the next months here in terms of the Women's Arm. And that we realize that each one of us, every citizen of this country, have a role to play. And therefore, we should do it because at the end of the day, we have to protect the most vulnerable of our society, whether it's the children, the persons with physically challenged, the elderly. We have to protect them. And as adults, we do have a responsibility. So we are happy to do as much as we can, as best as we can, so that, these problems that we are facing in our society can be reduced.
All right. Thank you so very much. And folks, we've been speaking to Mrs. Brenda Hood, president of the UTAM too? I know you're young, but still. President of the Women's Arm of the New National Party. Remember, that march is going to be starting on Wednesday by Keeplef.
Yeah.
And proceeding
where is Keeplef? That's by the
stadium, Lacqua
place there.
Crossroad there.
Yeah,
and
Cemetery Hill.
And from there, it's going to proceed through the town of St. George.
Melville Street. Yeah.
Right. And then over to Tantine.
Yeah.
And
it
ending
ends
up in
there.
Tantine.
Yeah.
All right,
and
folks.
I guess they will say some more, tell you more about where it will start on Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
So, folks, we'd like to thank you so very much, Mrs. Hood, for being in studio with us. And we're going to take a short break and be right back, folks.
Love our proud nation. Rid this scourge from our land and let's rise again. Give we children hope again. Yes, make sure we enforce the laws. Jail all them child molesters. Rise again. Let we children smile again. Yes, and let them know we feel their pain. And we're ready to fight for them. Grenada, Carriacou, let's stand and make that fall. You hear me? Do you believe me? You hear me? Law enforcement here is well lacking, and we justice system is joking, and it's sad. Yes, the system victimize the victim while the perpetrators are laughing, and it's sad. Yes, people these days afraid to report. Police might laugh at them as joke today. I say, so if we decide to take a stand, we could change the situation today. I say, no, take a stand, yeah, take a stand now. Give we children chance to grow, to be adults tomorrow. Take a stand now, take it right now, yes. Let's all have a proud nation. Rid this scourge from our land and let's rise again. Let Grenada smile again. Yes, make sure we enforce the laws. Jail all them child molesters. Rise again. Give we victim hope again. Yes, make them know we feel their pain and we ready to fight for them. Grenada, Carriacou, Pity Martinique, let's stand and make that vow. You hear me? It's not a nice thing to look down on your own daughter and pity her like your wife. Disrespectful. And we, as mothers and fathers of the nation today, should do this right now. Take that stand. When I see the news on the TV and on Facebook, it really hit me. It is sad. Yeah. Grenada never used to be so. This thing wasn't common so before, and it's sad. Yes, we making Grenada shame, giving the nation a bad name today. I say, yes, with the amount of sexual crimes going on in this place this time today. I say, no, take a stand. Take a stand now. Yes.
Grenada is coming as the Ministry of Youth, Development, Sports, Culture and the Arts brings to you National Youth Week 2019 and it's one full week of activities, vibes and action as the nation turns their attention on the nation's youth, and it's from Saturday, October 19 till Saturday, November 2nd under the theme Embracing Opportunities, Soaring Higher. October 19th and 20th, National Community Service Weekend, Island-wide. October 26th, Health Walk and Minister's Address. October 27th, Ecumenical Service and Peace Concerts. October 28th, WeiVybz. October 29th, St. John's Youth Youth Parliament, October 30th. Job Fair and Career Day, October 31st. Fun Nights, November 1st. Discovering Talents and Expo. And on November 2nd, it's National Youth Awards. So urging everyone to be a part of Youth Week 2019, October 19th to November 2nd.
So yes, indeed, you've got to take a stand.
When not back men interfere with children and parents taking money from them, it is sad.
Folks, we're going to open the phone lines 440-7377.
Some of these children are just babies, yet men using them like the ladies, and it's sad.
That's for those of you locally.
Yes, the state of affairs is serious, taking over like a virus.
Trying to remember the overseas line there.
I say, every day is a brand new case. Pedophiles all over this place today.
The phone lines 440-7377.
No, take a stand. Take a stand now. Yes, give we children chance to grow, to be adults tomorrow. Take a stand now.
14 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock.
Yes, let's all have a proud nation. Rid this scourge from our land and let's rise again. Give we children hope again. Yes, make sure we enforce the laws. Jail all them child molesters. Rise again. Let we children smile again. Yes, and
Yes, indeed. And for those of you, and as I was about to give the number for the overseas line, someone calls. Good morning.
I had to call you to let you know that you're going to see it. How are you doing? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I was even listening to you and Sister Brenda whole day. But one thing you came close. But something you guys never discussed is about mothers. Sheldon, let me tell you from my experience, there are mothers who need to go to jail. And I hope they look at that and they put that into the law. There are mothers, like the child, telling the mother, Sheldon, that the father-in-law or the father is touching them. And the mother is saying to the child, you want to break up my living. They rather put that child out of the house before they go to the station and make a report until that child gets pregnant. As Sheldon, I see it happen. I went through some things myself, and I could tell you, it's not a good show. When a 10-year-old comes to you as a mother bleeding, and you discuss and you look at your body and you see somebody interfere, and because you know your man will do it, you clean up and shove it under the rug. You know? And Sheldon, all those things used to go on years upon years. Right? I'm in my early 60s now, and I could tell you, I live it. Right? And it became a nightmare for me. It became a nightmare. Get all kind of blame. When I know what that man had done to that child, you know, and it brings so much pain. Right? So today when I hear everybody talking like, you know, like it's just happening, Sheldon, that's been happening long time. Long years. You understand me? The child grandmother had to beg me to take that child out of that house. So I know and I live it. And that child will grow up with no feelings. Live his whole life in fear. You understand? And then you and the husband become a victim. Because everybody thinking that you doing this woman something. Not knowing what that woman or that child went through in life. Another one happened. The child tell the mother. And the father was a school teacher. You know? Tell her what your father-in-law is doing to her. And the mother brushed it off until the child gets pregnant. You understand? We can't do those things. We had a policeman who interfered another one. You should know about it. I don't know if he's in jail. The case never called. But I show you living with another woman.
No, he's in jail.
When she come back and miss his husband and top she daughter.
He's in jail, sir.
Well, right. And this is the thing we have to do. This is the thing we have to do. But a lot of mothers need to go to jail. That mother didn't shove it under the rug. She screams out. She screams out and she bawls because he was a policeman, but we don't care who that individual may be. Sheldon. So that's why a lot of mothers, I ain't nobody talking about the mother who is a criminal, who accepting money from the man, and sometimes tell the child, it's not me he wants, it's you. Not me he wants, it's you. This is what sort of conversation we can have. Not only going and demonstrate, but look to the mothers and tell them things have to change from inside, Sheldon, before you get outside. The parents have a part to play. The parents have a part to play. This is what we got to talk about. It starts from inside to outside. Bend the tree while it's young. Talk to your children. Educate them. Don't diss them when they come to you with a story. Let me tell you, children follow what they see, not what they hear. Children follow what they see, not what they hear. And up in Canada here, I teach a lot of parents that. Everybody's saying the child lie, the child lie. The child might not explain it the way it should be explained. But within that, when the child tells you something, Sheldon, there is truth in that thing. There is truth in that thing. But that's all I have to say at this time. Look inside first before we look outside. We catch ourselves looking outside. And when we get these people guilty, they need help, Sheldon. Not only putting them in jail. But one thing I learned in life, Sheldon, once a pedophile is a sickness in the head. It's a sickness. Okay? So you have a good one.
All right, thank you. What I can say though, I hope the caller hears this part of it. What I can say is that when Attorney General Darshan Ramdani was speaking last week, there was mention of changing an aspect of the legislation to deal with persons who know or who have good reason to believe that child abuse is taking place and do not report it. So it will be an offense to know that it is taking place and not report it. I do remember him speaking to that aspect of the law. And that will be dealing with the mothers and or fathers or grandparents or whoever knows what was taking place or what is taking place or what has taken place and do not come forward and say anything. All right, we have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Brother Sheldon. Good morning, Senator Sheldon.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Well, a day. Not too bad, but a day. Hell on. You see what I want to say there? I 72 years of age, and he had a neighbor. She husband. She have a child for she husband. The child come and have a child for his father. You understand? And then the father know his child, you could say his grandchild. And then she come and she have and he take an extra, the daughter, child, daughter again. This thing they go on long. But before time, people used to sweep it under the carpet. I'm telling you, this thing they go on long. I have 72 years, I'm telling you. Thing they go on long. Long. But it's time to break the neck of it now. Break the neck of it now. Both woman and man, break the neck of it. But now, Brother Sheldon, and the Bible tells you it's time to come, you go see a lot of signs, and you go see a lot of wonders, and it's that we see now. Nation against nation, kingdom, children, and what happening now? That children are making children? Okay. Bible coming up for fulfill. So we just have to make sure we make ourselves right with the Heavenly Father. That is all.
Okay, thank you so very much.
You have a wonderful.
All right, and enjoy the rest of your day today.
What about Brother Devon?
He's okay.
He was there yesterday?
No, he wasn't there yesterday, but I'll keep it in contact. Don't worry.
Well, the hand, I think he could, if he see me, he could give me a slap with the hand.
That is not for me to say. That is for him to say.
Eh?
That is not for me to say. That is for him to say. I would be out of place and rude to make that determination on behalf of the individual. So that is for him to say, not for me.
Whatever, wherever he is, Papa, we need you. In 19th of October, gone, the 26th of October, gone.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Sheldon, you have a wonderful day. Mommy Judge, I couldn't call her no.
All right. So enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye. All right.
Baby.
Love you too. Bye-bye. Yes, indeed. 440-7377, 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to get onto the inside of today's program. And reminding all of the alumni of the Wester Hall Secondary School of your activity that's coming up on the 30th of November. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you all there. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheldon, and how are you doing?
Hey, I'm quite fine. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Listen, man, I get a ride and a man taxi and he was playing this man, what is his name? I'll tell you. His name is Ken Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said how you...
Hold on, Curtis. Curtis, no, you. Hold on. Don't take anything from that program and bring it on this one.
No, but...
No. I ain't interested.
Using up your name too much,
Curtis, do not take anything from that program and bring it to this program.
All right.
Yeah, so you have anything else you want to talk to us about? Don't let them vex you because I ain't bothering with them. Yeah? If they're interested in males, I'm not interested in males. Hello? Okay, Curtis gone me. Yeah, don't take things from there and bring it here. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. They have a fixation. There's nothing that can help them with that without psychological help. There's nothing that could help them. Yeah, so just forget them. Other things to do. You can't be bothered with them. 440-7377. And for those of you outside of Grenada, 347-329-3101. Yeah?
From them, it is sad. Yes. Some of these children are just babies, yet men using them like the ladies.
So I was telling those of you, the alumni of the Wester Hall Secondary School,
yes, the state of affairs
that you have your get-together on the 30th of November. They're asking for a donation of $50 or $80 on the past students to help them pay for the event. We have a call on the line. Good morning.
Sheldon, good morning.
Good morning, my dear. How are you today?
How are you doing, sweetie?
Good.
They are not so wild, you know, all going on with me.
Yeah.
Anyhow, just allow me to say good morning to my family and friends in America, Canada, England. My darling friends, Tati and Matthew, Arthur Campbell, good morning to y'all. Morning to Mr. Watts and his wife, Zingo. Depo and his wife, good morning, and his brothers, everybody. And the guy, his name in Canada again. We good friend of the scholars.
Oh, Ian, yeah.
Yes, everybody. This coming at 100% study. Yes, I was by the hospital last night.
Oh.
Anyhow, Sheldon,
yes,
you know what happened? They never passed and picked up to bring me in the singing study. And that was not nice. Sheldon, I always say, they don't have bus. I know that it's good in the morning, but they don't have bus. Some people have never pass and sit at home and say they will pass. Nobody call. Nobody calls Sheldon, and that is not nice. But that will not stop me. I'll always be there. Anyhow, I have, is the Ashan season now? Mm-hmm. So anybody want the Ashan? Oh, let's call it in Trinidad again.
Chinny Bibi? Chinny Bibi?
Yeah.
Asham and Chini Bibi is the same thing. You said Chini Bibi in Trinidad.
Yes, I have a lot of Asham now. And anybody interested in juking board, the long time juking board, I have the juking board. Yes. And big bra. Yeah. But that was not nice for the people up there. They know if you have a church, somebody will call me. Nobody called. Not a soul. Nobody called. Not even them in town. They don't want me to come here again. But that is all right. So I hope they hear.
All right,
Over
but there.
here. And they better don't call me no more. Yes. And no, don't have Sheldon. That's something serious. Because you have people, and any meeting anyway, I always say, people call me and tell me, and I tell them, I can't make it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They don't call me, they don't pass, and they have my number. Anyhow, that is all right. But I listened to news this morning and Maitland, and I get this and who get that.
Yeah.
That is all right, and I listen to you. And I want to say good morning to the lady, the young lady that's there with you, and to Devon. Good morning. And Sheldon, you take it easier.
You know I
If
will.
anybody wants a salmon, cooking board, and grub, and I have to say, I want to sell out to make a little money.
Okay.
So I could pay me beans. Have a blessed day.
Same
Are
to
them
you.
children
They're good.
good?
Everybody good.
I just say.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's a Watson, everybody. Dingo. You start to get cold up there already. Right.
Crying.
Bye-bye.
All right. And folks, yeah, and we mentioned it earlier, but for those of you that may have missed it, the just one or two changes to the executive of the New National Party. Our former treasurer, Honorable Anthony Boson, is now chairman of the party, and he's supported ably by Dr. Clarice Modest as deputy chairperson. Political leader, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, deputy political leader, Honorable Gregory Bowen. Yeah, he was the chairperson. He's now deputy political leader. General secretary remains Honorable Roland Bowler, assistant general secretary, Honorable Peter David. Recording secretary, Mr. Steve Hosford, assistant recording secretary, David Stan Phillip. Treasurer, Mr. Carlton Frederick, who comes in to replace Brother Boson, who is now the chairperson and not the treasurer. You have a public relation officer, Honorable Emlyn Pear. Welfare officer, Mrs. Edith MacDonald, and Labor Relations Officer, Senator the Honorable Winston Garraway. Floor members, Mr. Kenneth Noel, Deborah Charles, Cletus St. Paul, Bernard John, Bartholomew Batiste, and Oswald Gilbert. And Carriacou will say who they're sending down as their floor member. And in addition to these persons, you also have Mrs. Brenda Hood, the president of the Women's Arm, and the president of the Youth Arm, Mr. Judd, Senator the Honorable Judd Cadet. All right? Nice? That good? Great. Yeah, that's just for those of you that may have missed earlier on when we gave the new executive of the New National Party. All right? Mm-hmm. And people keep telling me just play the song again.
You hear me?
So on Wednesday, starting at Keep Left from 11 a.m., is an opportunity to do more than just talk about the issue, but to show yourselves. And you see, it's important to do these sort of things in and between, yeah? Because sometimes that child or that young person, or even might be an elder person who's already been through it, they will see these people and know that someone cares.
Some of these children are just babies.
I've not always been one for marches for different things. Everybody know. I've not always been one who always say, well, let's march.
Yes, the state of affairs is serious.
But in this case, when you're doing that, those persons who would see and they would understand that, yes, somebody does care. They may even see people that they know from their community and they never spoke to them about it, not understanding that this person cares. So that they can come and speak to you, yeah?
Take a stand now. Yes, give we children chance to grow.
So if you want to be part of the march,
Take a stand now.
and they're heading from the Keep Left that's by the Lacroix roundabout area. They're heading to the stadium. Right, they're starting from there. That starts at 11 and they're heading over to Tantine. They're slated to be completed by 2 o'clock. So they're heading over to Tantine.
Jail all them child molesters. Rise again. Let we children smile again. Yes, and let them know we feel their pain. And we're ready to fight.
The women's arm, they're asking for mandatory counseling, Yeah, as part of the entire thing, mandatory counseling for both the offenders, the victims, and the victims' families.
Oh, you hear me?
Mandatory continuous counseling.
Believe me. You hear me?
Also reform of the legislation and calling on the legislature, not the legislators, but let me get it here, it's part 5 here, the judicial officers to act more judiciously in the administration of justice, in particular in the meting out of sentences commensurate with the grievous nature of sexual offenses against children. So for those of you willing to help in whichever way, you can contact Mrs. Brenda Hood on 534-5114. That's 534-5114. There'll also be a march in St. Andrew on Friday. The details of which are not available yet, but will be available shortly.
Give we children chance to grow.
And as we get it, we're going to make sure that you do have it. So on Friday, they're going to be marching in St. Andrew, and on Wednesday, marching in St. George. So even if you can't make it, send a representative. And nobody says because it's the women's arm and Gino and so on that it have to be women alone marching. Men can march too. Men could march too, man. Don't feel because you hear women's arm and you hear Gino that you won't just stay away and you ain't go and march too.
Feel their pain and we're ready to fight for them.
We have a caller online. Good morning.
Sheldon.
Hey.
Biggie just come and answer you there. He stayed away in your voice. Biggie, you know, he was so well, but he just coming down.
Okay.
And he asked, come and answer you. I said, look at you talking there now. So he said, he's going home now. You run tune in.
All right, wonderful. Well,
Biggie,
I know.
your wife from Mount Marie.
Yeah. Now I tell you, I don't want to play for him, man. Let me find my Lord Laro. I go give him a Laro.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, darling. Bye-bye.
Yes, man. Morning to you, Biggie. Yeah, high hopes, man. Yes, indeed. Yeah, time to take a stand. And folks, it is Youth Week. We're going to get some more information in relation to some of the activities. But while we get that for you, let's just let you know.
The Ministry of Youth Development, Sports, Culture and the Arts in celebrating National Youth Week, October 26th to November 3rd, 2019, under the theme Embracing Opportunities, Soaring Higher. Kicking it off with a health walk on Saturday, October 26th, 4:30 p.m. Samaritan Junction to Victoria. Then the Minister's Address, 7:30 p.m. via social media and all media outlets. Monday, October 28th, Youth Vibe, 5 to 7 p.m. Telescope Community Center. Tuesday the 29th, St. George Youth Parliament, 4 p.m. St. Rose Modern Secondary School. Wednesday the 30th, Job Fair and Career Day, 11 a.m. Granby Street, St. George's. Thursday the 31st, Fun Night and Indoor Games, 5 p.m. at the Youth Center. Friday, November 1st, Discovering Talent and Expo, 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. George Patterson Street, Granville. It's going to be a massive affair. Saturday the 2nd, National Youth Awards, 6:30 p.m. Pier 57, Grand Mall, St. George. And on Sunday, November 3rd, the grand finale, the massive Peace Concert, 4 p.m. Sutter's Bus Terminal. Grab your friends, link your posse. All youths on the move. National Youth Week, October 26th to November 3rd, 2019. Play your part.
They kill and they kill and they kill more. When
Yes, 4407377 and 347-329-3101. And those are the numbers for you to call and get onto the inside.
it is so alarming, so many children dying. I I can hear them crying. Many more keep suffering. Another one fell victim of the uncaring system. Minute by minute, day by day, they abusing.
So, folks, remember, if you're looking for your asham, if you're Trinidadian, you know, Chinny Bibi. Yeah. Or Chili Bibi. Some people say Chili Bibi, some people say Chinny Bibi. But asham, that's what we know it as here. Or you're looking for your joking board, and so you go on and check Cammy, and she also has the big brass. Give her a little check out on the bus terminal there.
The shocking headlines. So save the children, save the children, save them, save them.
Folks, also remember to get ready. On November 20th, it's going to be budget day. Yeah, Prime Minister in his wrap-up yesterday gave a little insight into one or two aspects. Some of the projects that have been started. Some of the projects that are due to start. Also spoke about the conditions of the roads, man. Believe me, I've been going through it too. I drive, I have to buy car parts and so too. I don't think that I just fly from one spot to the other. So we're all in this together. It's not one group of people in it and the other group of every one of us go through it. And a brand new asphalt plant is on island, yeah. It is here.
This will end getting better. Homelessness.
And the work to make sure that it's set up and starts to produce that hot mix so that when you're doing the roads that they're done properly, you could do the temporary with the cold mix. That could last for a little while. But the proper one is the hot mix, and the old plant that was there that was neglected during a certain period of time. Yeah, between 2008 and 2. That was neglected during that period of time. That was allowed to be vandalized to the tune of over $1 million worth of copper and so on, wiring, everything that was ripped off of it and sold as scrap iron. Yeah, that same asphalt plant that was vandalized during that period, that can't operate to the level that it used to. So every now and again you hear the asphalt plant break down the asphalt plant. So there is now a new asphalt plant on the island. Brand new, separate from that one. Brand new asphalt plant on island that's being set up. And as soon as that is set up and they run the tests and it's operating properly and so, yeah, man, back in business, yeah? Nice.
We got to make this world a better place.
I think I just missed a call there, so call back.
Let's do it for the children, save the children, save the children, save them, save them, protect the children, protect the children, protect.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Scott. How things, man?
Hey, I'm great, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, man. I said I was on the bottom side of weekend on the south side. I didn't know you had a big hotel going on in Monroe's area down there, but I never hear nobody talk about that.
In Monroe,
I see a massive hotel going on there. I say, how should I to fight that one?
No, but we've been speaking about that one here, huh? That's where Flamboyant...
The one last, I just want, but I see you.
I spoke about that one.
I said never knew a big project going on there.
Where Flamboyant used to be?
Because some people don't know why but I didn't get that one.
Yeah, that's where Flamboyant Hotel used to be in it. Yeah, that is the Kimpton by Kawana.
Like Citizen by Investment. So I say, well, they used to call them that program and how come that big? I don't hear you talk about that one.
That's the Kimpton by Kawana.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when I say Kimpton by Kawana, I'm speaking about that facility.
Yeah.
Kimpton Kawana Hotel, that's the facility there.
Yeah, it's a massive building going on there, man.
Yeah, they're expanding way past what existed before as the Flamboyant.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in a way, I think they're going to have pools outside of each room overlooking the sea and all of that. So it is a massive project. Saturday, I passed there. A lot of guys working. I have a relative that lives in the back there, so I passed to check him.
I realized what's going on there.
Yeah.
So, what's about the main critics? They don't know what's going on there?
Nah, don't worry, man. Just know one of them go down with a tape measure and say you're too close to the sea.
They like to highlight only negative. Look, I say, well, that policy is going to get a good job there, man. All these people are working there.
Yeah.
You take care of yourself.
All right. And if If you had gone a little further down, like towards BBC Beach,
Yeah.
there is another project that is kind of ongoing there right now. But I'll give you some more information in relation to that later on.
All right, man.
All right, blessings. Yeah, and then as far as I know, there is also a facility that's due to start in True Blue. Yeah, True Blue right now, chock-a-block, man. If you was in True Blue 5 years ago, and you ain't passed back since then, and now you try to drive down to the university, asking yourself if it's a different place. You know? Yeah. You're asking yourself if you're in the same place. Mm-hmm.
Mommy, 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 someone please come and help me.
Yeah, and then you have the St. David projects coming on stream. But as I said, budget day is the 20th of November, and you're going to hear in the budget speech a lot of information there. Also, Prime Minister did mention yesterday the negotiations are continuing between the Grenada Union of Teachers and the government of Grenada, wage negotiations. So that is taking place.
Endless bloodshed, another child shot.
And it's being done in good faith. The Grenada Union of Teachers, they came back to the table with a proposal, and an excellent proposal. They said, listen, if we do not come to agreement within the next, let me see how much days they have again. Today is Monday, so 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 4 days to come to a final agreement. So what they've decided to do, negotiate for the 2020 cycle, budgetary cycle. So the Grenada Union of Teachers came with that proposal. They said, let us negotiate immediately for next year. And then we'll negotiate 2021, 2022, 2023 separately. Yeah? Well, 2022. So while they should have been negotiating for the increases for 2020, 2021, 2022, they could always negotiate for 2021 and 2022 later this year, next year, and so on. They said, let us try our very best to complete negotiations, which have to be completed by Thursday. Let us try our best to complete that negotiation in relation to wage increase. So the Grenada Union of Teachers, they came, they dropped their offer down a little bit, and government raised their offer up a little bit. And they have to meet again. I think they may be meeting today, in fact. I'm not sure. But I suspect that they will be meeting today. They met on Thursday. And I suspect they may be meeting today or tomorrow again to come to a final solution on this is the amount that we're willing to accept for the budgetary cycle of 2020. That has not been how it's going with the Public Workers Union, Technical Allied Workers Union. The discussions there have not been going in that direction. It seems as though because government has moved from what it offered with the GUT. So I expect they can do the same thing with the Public Workers Union, but the Public Workers Union has to come a little differently. Good morning.
Yes, Sheldon.
Hey.
I want to say what date you say for budget?
The 20th.
28th?
20th of November.
Okay, well, I have to get my outfit ready.
Of course.
I have to get everything ready then. Yes.
I have to charge up the camera.
Going, but I have to look special. And Patty say hello. She's living for work right now.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
All right, my dear.
Yeah, she's living for work. I have to look special. I have to get me organized to get my hair done and put it on the best guard.
Yes.
Yes, good.
All right, my dear.
All right, let me tune in there. You know.
Okay.
You know, I always tune in on there. Sheldon, you will not get the negative people that living in Grenada to say the good things that are happening.
No, they
you
won't.
understand? We know, and we have people that live abroad, England, Canada, wherever they live. They know what is going on in Grenada. They know the project that is going on. They know. But the people that I would always call them the haters, they don't love Grenada. They have nothing good to say. So we don't have to worry about them. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't have to worry about them. We know what's going on. We have eyes to see. And it's not only in Chumu and in Monus, all in other little villages. Look by me up there. All day, all night. You understand?
Yeah.
Work taking place. When you're passing in bushes, going up, you see all the amount of blocks. All the blocks on the sand and gravel. And it's Chinese people, God bless them. They drove in whole their whole life. And that's home they deliver for people. So you won't get the people that have these dirty things to say about this government. They're not saying what is going on. They must let the people know. If they love Grenada, you could tell the people what they're doing in Grenada. And that is not nice. That is not nice. They don't love Grenada. They love themselves alone. So people home and abroad, a lot of things is happening.
All right.
A lot of things happening in Grenada. You must also and look in Busheju, go out, go on, take a bus, take a car, and go around Grenada and you're going to see by yourself. Right?
All right.
Tell them have a good day.
Thank you.
And let the people come and get the asham. Matthew, I will send some for you, darling. Morning, Matthew and everybody. Mr. Watt. Bye.
Bye-bye. And folks, weird enough, I was passing through the Bujeju area over the weekend on Saturday. And it's when I looked on the hillside, I realized that that's where the project was. I didn't know specifically where that project was taking place. And then I realized I'm seeing buildings up there. Good morning.
Hey, morning, brother.
Morning.
Just to piggyback a little bit on what Cameron said, then the sentiment you guys were echoing, the negativity of people, not necessarily Canadian people, but I think it's a human condition. It seems easier, more sexy, more exciting to talk and discuss and point out the negatives in people and things than to discuss and talk about the positives. For example, the things that's been happening in Grenada over the last 5-10 years, if you want to go that far, there's a lot of positive changes that are happening in Grenada. However, even when we talk about the positive changes, we keep focusing on the negative side of it. Like, let's say these good things are going on, but people are talking so negative about it. I think it might be instructive to, as he said, not necessarily talk about the negative people, but don't give it any energy, in the sense that there's so much positive things going on. If we focus on those things alone, you won't need to have any conversations about negative people. Let them have their own negative conversations by themselves. And eventually they drown themselves out. Point out the positive things that's been happening in the country. Mm-hmm. And people will start listening. But if when we point out the positive things, we're also saying, well, there's so much negative, it takes away from the positive of pointing out. It still gives more energy and more light to that.
Yeah. Indeed.
So it's something that I think we should be very mindful of, especially in the environment that we're in right now. Let's look at America in terms of the president and how negative the information or how the messages come from that area. It's a small country we have. Most of us are related in some way or shape. And to continue to harp on negative is not going to encourage us to do positive things. I mean, this is psychology. We need to encourage each other to do more positive, and we will.
Kola, I'm losing your signal. I don't know if you're on the road or what it is, but I'm losing your signal wherever you are.
I'm in the mountains right now, so.
The mountains.
yeah. So it's a bit choppy up here. But what I'm saying is basically, we should lean more towards encouraging each other to do more positive, even in spite of the negatives we may do. You know what I mean? Not that we don't err, not that we don't make mistakes, not that we don't fall. It's not that sometimes we don't do stupid things. But if we keep harping on the negative that we do, it doesn't leave enough room for us to grow. As a matter of fact, it might even reinforce our negatives, because if every time I do something negative, I get all this attention, and when I do 100 positive things, I get, okay. I mean, I want to do positive things. Again, it's psychology. So when you do your show, there's enough things that the government is doing right now that's positive that you can literally just focus on. And I think it would go a long way in terms of even winning converts towards the party side, where people can say, oh, okay, I could do that because it's positive. The other party seems to focus solely on the negative, and I've addressed that with them, and they still seem to not want to address that themselves. So
thank you so
very
much.
Don't let that opportunity pass you.
All right, we're going to keep in contact. Thank you so very much, caller.
No problem.
All right, blessings. Yes, indeed. And you know, one thing, I have to say this to many of us out there. You have to learn how to invite positivity into your life. And I think some of us invite negativity into our lives. And a good brethren of mine, a few years ago, he was telling me, he said, listen, you have to be very careful with certain statements you make, because you could, by those statements, invite a new type of reality that wasn't there. Like some people, they hear about the child molestation and this kind of thing, and if it's my, don't go there. When it starts on the, if it's my child, you invite that sort of negativity and you create that reality that wasn't there. Don't even go there with that sort of thing. Yeah, learn to invite positivity into your life. All right? I just thought I should say that one. It's important because I keep hearing people saying, oh, if it was my child, don't even start to think about that. Because it's not a reality. You're making it into a reality. Yeah, I was saying, I was passing, going through the Beaujeu area, and I saw the houses on top there. Now, first of all, because of where the blocks and the material was stored, in my mind, I thought it was down there at the bottom of the hill that they were going to be building the houses. I didn't realize it was on top the hill. It's until I was coming around there from by the Happy Hill Secondary School, and you're looking over, and I was seeing the buildings going up there. Honestly, I didn't see it before. Honestly, I didn't see it before. Father, please wake me up. So those housing units going up there in Beaujeu, and you have some in St. David. You have those in the St. Patrick area and in Carriacou, Carriacou, in Dumfries, yeah. Remember, those of you from the Wester Hall Secondary School, yeah, contact WeiVybz on 405-0263. WeiVybz or Bevis or Adonna 536-3861, or Sheldon Braffett, not a Sheldon Braffett, right? 414-5318. Make your little donation. That's for the get-together on the 30th of November. And remember, folks, Budget Day is coming up the 20th of November. There's one Grenada we have, not 2, 3, 4, or 5. So you can't look to force negativity onto our country at every turn and every opportunity you get. And expect not to make some of that into a reality. I mean, yes, for instance, the roads. We understand I use the roads. So if you feel that doesn't affect the shocks on my vehicle and doesn't affect the tires and all, it affects all of us. And that is why the situation is being addressed. But you see, what happens here is that you have a group of people that they know that it is being addressed. They know it will be addressed. But they decide to speak about it, not in the sense of, listen, we have a problem here. It needs to be fixed. But there's a problem. Let's see how we could make the government look bad. And let's see how we can go and say things. So when it is fixed, we could say, we forced them to do it. Or we forced them to do this. We forced them to do that. That's what is going on. Yeah? But that issue is being addressed. The asphalt plant is already here. It's in Grenada. It's not on the way. It's not just purchased and being shipped. It is already here in Grenada. So it's just for the process. Now, I'm not too sure how long that process would take. And even if I didn't know how long, I wasn't saying, because at the end of the day, if it's not done then, you got a bunch of people jump up and say, but they say the asphalt plant will be ready by then, and it's not ready by then. A new asphalt plant, not the one in Beaujeu there, a new one is on island and getting ready to be set up. How long it will take, I am not sure, but in the interim, I saw the crews out over the weekend, yesterday and on Saturday as well. I saw the asphalt crews out addressing some of the problems in the south of the island. I saw them. Not too sure where else they were. I'm saying where I saw them was in the south of the island. There may be one or two other areas as well. I'm trying to address the problems with some of the potholes and so that we've been having.
Protect them, feed the children, feed the children, feed them, love the children.
Into the final few minutes of today's program.
Love them. Love them. Protect the children. Protect the children. Protect them. Protect them. Save the children. Save the children. Save them. Save them.
I dedicate this song to all the children who is not able to protect themselves. Also the world leaders to raise the awareness of the pain and suffering that they go through. Love the children. Love the children. Love them. Love them. Protect the children.
Wow, it's carnival time again.
Folks, that's all the time we've got for Hard Talk today. And whatever you say and do it safe and secure. Want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. I'm Sheldon Scott. I'm heading out of here. Love each and every one of you. Just remember, programming note, tomorrow is Tuesday, so we should be having the post-cabinet press briefing, which will be followed by Hard Talk.
In Toronto, fiesta.
Do enjoy the rest of your day.
New Orleans, Mardi Gras Bacchanal, but nothing to beat the Trinidad Carnival. When you hear the tempo, the land vibrate with tempo, the island like one big disco. Jamming soca, jamming calypso. Hear them bassline moving, see all them waistline grooving. Costumes of world rhythm like dirt. It's the greatest show on the earth.
Grenada is coming as the Ministry of Youth, Development, Sports, Culture and the Arts brings to you National Youth Week 2019 and it's one full week of activities, vibes and action as the nation turns their attention on the nation's youth, and it's from Saturday, October 19 till Saturday, November 2nd under the theme Embracing Opportunities, Sowing Higher. October 19th and 20th, National Community Service Weekend, Island-wide. October 26th, Health Walk and Ministers Address. October 27th, Ecumenical Service and Peace Concerts. October 28th, Youth Vibe. October 29th, St. John's Youth Parliament. October 30th, Job Fair and Career Day. October 31st, Fun Nights. November 1st, Discovering Talents and Expo. And on November 2nd, it's National Youth Awards. So urging everyone to be a part of Youth Week 2019, October 19th to November 2nd.
With NNP, get updated.
Something for everyone.